If you've been doing your research all about moving to Las Vegas, then all you hear about is the pros and why you should move there. But in this video, I think it's important that we take a minute to discuss the cons. And that's what we're about to do right now. So let's get started. Here we go. Hey everybody, it's Dave Baker here with VegasAgents.com. Now, if this is your first time watching the channel and you want to know everything about what it's like to live, to work, to eat, to sleep, and of course, to play in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, then make sure that you tap that little subscribe button and you click the notification bell so that you'll get notified every time I put out a new video all about living in Las Vegas, living in Henderson, and living in Summerlin. Now, if you're thinking about moving to Las Vegas or relocating to Henderson, Nevada, make sure that you reach out to us right away. You can send me a text message, you can send us a quick email, you can call us on the phone 24/7, all right? Because we do have your back with your move to Las Vegas. I'm always talking to people about Vegas and Henderson and Summerlin and Boulder City too. And these are hot places and a lot of people are coming out here. And it is just a great time to be in Las Vegas. So we can't wait to help you. So get in touch with us. All right, let's dive into today's topic. Now, if you've been watching a lot of videos about moving to Las Vegas and you've been reading up on it, you're probably always hearing about the pros. And even me, I'm always talking about the things that I like, and it makes sense. But it's important that we also take a look at the other side of the coin, because not everything is always perfect for everybody. Now, I will say that there are so many pros that outweigh the cons that's the reason there are so many more videos about why Las Vegas is great. But right now, I want to talk about some of the issues that I think that affect people and are not always positive for everybody. So, number one, let's talk about the 24/7 lifestyle. What is that? All right, here's the deal. If you're coming from Los Angeles and moving to Las Vegas, or let's say you're moving from Chicago or Miami or moving from New York City to Las Vegas, well, you might be used to a place where things are always open late and there's always a lot of activity going on. But let's say you're moving from a sleepy town. Maybe you're moving from rural Ohio to Las Vegas, or even if you're moving from rural Oregon, or just another small town where you're used to everything settling down when the sun goes down, well, that's going to be a change. Now, why does that matter? It doesn't really matter to everybody. It depends on your lifestyle. But what a lot of people mention to me when they first move out here to Vegas, what they say is they feel like going out all the time. Now, for some people, especially if you have to get up for work early, or you have to get up early to take your kids to school or something like that, it can affect your schedule. What happens when you go to a place where you can eat dinner at 2:30 in the morning? Or maybe you feel like having all-you-can-eat sushi at 1 a.m. Or maybe you want to go out and play a little, or you want to go to a bar or another fun place, or perhaps there's a late night show at a bar that has music, like a country bar or something like that. Well, when you first move here, if you're coming from somewhere that is a quieter place and a more sleepy town, or what's called a bedroom community, well, then it'll be a change because it's going to give you a lot of options. Now, I always thought of that as a positive, right? Think about it. It's nice to know that if you wanted to go out to dinner late, or you had to work late and you wanted to go out with your family or your friends and it's 9 o'clock at night, you can still do that. But some people have told me when they first moved here, they became exhausted. And I understand, that can happen, but it wears off over time. You know, the longer that you live here, the less likely you are to be as excited about certain things. So obviously we have things like casinos, we have restaurants and bars and other entertainment venues that are open very late. In fact, of all the places I've ever been, and not just lived, but places I've actually been on vacation, Las Vegas is the first place I ever really remember that had so many late night establishments. Now, I will say I have been to Atlantic City, New Jersey, so if you're moving from New Jersey to Las Vegas, it could be a little bit similar because you do have those big hotels. But once you're a local, you're not going to be hanging out at the hotel. Remember this, it's something that I always point out. When you're coming to live here, you're not coming on vacation. You're not coming to stay at a hotel or to go to a pool party, although you still can. But what you're coming to do is live here. You're living your life here. And you're going to have a more traditional schedule. There's a good chance that you'll probably still be working if you're not retired. If you have kids, there could be school involved, and you'll have a regular schedule. But when you first come out here and you realize that you can do things at night that you couldn't always do where you're coming from, that's the 24/7 lifestyle that I was talking about. And it happens to a lot of people. You just get caught up in the fun. I always thought of it as a positive, but some people had mentioned to me that they thought it was negative to have too many options. So I did want to put that in the subtle cons column, we'll call it. So that's just one factor, and depending on how you live your life and your situation. For example, if you're a young couple moving here or a single person, it might be great for you. If you are retired, it also gives you a lot of opportunity to do things when you want to. And I think that's actually the positive side of the 24/7 lifestyle. Unlimited options, right? When everything's open, it lets you do things on your schedule. You're not sitting there looking at your watch. Oh, what time is it? We better get to dinner by 5 o'clock. No. In fact, if you watch some of my other videos, you may have heard me mention the 2 happy hours. I can think of a place that I like to go to, which is in Henderson. And you can find this in a lot of places where they actually have 2 happy hours. One is from 3 to 7 p.m., and the other, flip it over, is from 3 to 7 a.m. So hey, if you get off work and you work those shifts where you get off work at 1 or 2 a.m., well then you'll actually still be able to go to happy hour and get some wings or get whatever you're looking for. I actually think that's awesome because it creates an opportunity for you to do something on your schedule like I mentioned. All right, let's talk about number 2. The traffic. Traffic is a relative term, all right? I just want to say that traffic is really a relative term. Let me give you some examples. If you're coming and moving from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, or you're moving from, say, Orange County, California, or San Francisco, California, and you're moving to Henderson or Las Vegas or the Summerlin area, what you consider traffic is going to be totally different than what someone else considers traffic. So I spent a lot of time in Southern California. So I know what it means to drive at 8 miles an hour. And to me, that's traffic. Or to come to a complete stop on the freeway, I mean a stop, that is traffic. But let's say I'm driving from a really far part of one side of the Las Vegas Valley. Let's say I have to go to a meeting in Henderson and I have to drive all the way along the 215 freeway all the way to Summerlin. Well, that's quite a drive. It could be 35 miles. And will there be some traffic? Sure. At rush hour, there will be some traffic and there will be some slowing of the cars. But it's nothing like driving in places like the let's say the 91 freeway, or let's say you're coming from Miami and you're moving to Vegas, your freeway out there, maybe you're somewhere around the 10 or one of those highways. Yeah, you're going to consider the speed that we move at in Vegas and Henderson to be pretty reasonable. So when I moved to Las Vegas almost 10 years ago, I didn't think we had any traffic, and it was like a dream. I mean, at 5 o'clock, it was barely rush hour. But there's this one unique thing a lot of people don't know before they move here, and that's the shifts, okay? Not everybody here works a 9 to 5 job. Some people work on shifts from, say, 7 to 3 or 3 to 11, or they might work an overnight shift. So because there's so much employment in the casino industry and in entertainment and other tourism parts that make up the sphere of tourism, not everyone just gets off work at 5 or 6. The other thing I want to say about the traffic is it's not lasting. So again, let's say you're coming from Nashville, Tennessee, moving to Las Vegas, or New York City, of course, right, where you have real rush hours. You're not really going to feel the same thing here. But if you're coming from a place like, I don't know, let's say you're moving from some part of Kansas or Missouri or Nebraska and you're coming out here, then it's going to seem like there's traffic. When I went to Omaha, Nebraska, I always remember this. I thought it was hilarious. We had a driver because we'd flown in and had to get a ride somewhere. And the driver said, I have to tell you, there's going to be some traffic right now, so don't worry about the slowdown. And I'm serious. We got on the freeway and there must have been 10 cars on it. This driver was worried about the traffic, as if we were going to get a bad impression of Omaha, Nebraska. And I was just laughing. I couldn't believe it. I saw a few cars. We barely slowed down, and that just really put things in perspective to me. The same thing happened when I was in Iowa. And if you're coming from Iowa to Las Vegas, yeah, it's going to feel like there's a little bit of traffic. But the reality is it's not that bad as compared to so many other places. And the map is laid out pretty well in Las Vegas, where you can take major side streets. They run perpendicularly, and some streets run parallel to the freeway. So it's not that inconvenient to take the side streets, which that's something I actually prefer doing because I love to see what new restaurants are popping up in Vegas. There's all kinds of new cafes and other little things. And part of the cool part of being here is that you can dine out whenever you want to and try all kinds of food. Make sure, if you haven't watched my video yet about some of the pros of Las Vegas and Summerlin, check it out because you'll see the part where I'm talking about the food options, and they are incredible because I can eat almost anything I want to. And there's so many specialty places too, which I think is excellent. So here's the thing about traffic I want to just say. When you contact us, send us a text message or you can email us, let us know two things, okay? Let us know if you have an area where you want to live already, but more importantly, where are you working? If you're working from home, it's no problem because obviously working at home is a very different thing. But let's say, for example, you're going to tell me, well, I'm going to work in the downtown Summerlin area. Okay, well then we'll work on a plan for you where you can live in a reasonable distance to work, so it's not really a big deal. Ideally, you'll be able to take the streets and never need to take the freeway. And that's just part of what we do. So we want to make it easy for you. We want to make it fun for you to live here. A lot of us work all day just so we can have some fun at night and fun on the weekends, and when it's really convenient, I think that makes it a lot better. Okay, so let's jump into con number 3. That is that you are basically landlocked. What does that mean? That means that you don't have an ocean next to you. Now, I was fortunate enough to live by the ocean at some points in my life, and I didn't really appreciate that it was there. I think that happens to a lot of people. Let's say you are moving from somewhere like Newport Beach, or again from Miami to Las Vegas, or anywhere along either coast. Well, when you come here, obviously you're in the desert, right? Here's the deal. You have a different type of entertainment. Now, if you're not a beachgoer and you're not a boat person, then it might not ever really matter to you. And for me, it doesn't matter to me much either. A lot of the things that I like to do are not necessarily related to the water. If you want to go jet skiing, or you want to get out on the boat, or you want to go to the lake, don't worry. We do have Lake Mead, and Lake Mead is a recreation area, so you have an opportunity to do those things. We also have Lake Las Vegas, so if you remember from my other video about places to live, mention to us if you're interested in living very close to the water in a place like Lake Las Vegas. It's a special neighborhood, so it is something that is right for certain people. On top of that, if you're worried about being landlocked and not being close to any water, we also have Laughlin. Okay, Laughlin is not that far away. Remember, that's Laughlin, Nevada. It's a small area on the border of Arizona and California. And what do you have in Laughlin? You have the Colorado River, right? So you can go out there for the weekend, you could rent a jet ski, you can take your boat, you can do water taxi stuff, and you can get back on the water. It's very relaxing. Another place people will go is Lake Havasu. It's not that far away. I think it's a pretty convenient drive. There's not a lot of traffic if you want to go out to Lake Havasu. So you do have water available. It's just that you're not gonna just hop over in 10 minutes to the beach. But don't worry. We have lots of sand here, so you could feel like you're on the beach, right? Just take a little bit of sand, you put it next to your pool, and voila, you have your own beach, right? But remember what I said about the swimming pools in the previous videos as well. There's a good chance you might get a swimming pool at your place, or your community association might provide a swimming pool as well. So you will have water where you can cool off and have fun. We also have water parks for the kids, and in some neighborhoods, they actually have some water features. There's one place in Southern Highlands in Las Vegas where the kids, if you have children, they can go play, and these devices fling water around on a wheel, and they spray water, and you see kids out there in the summer having fun with that. And it's nice. It's a good way to cool off too. Now, there's one more thing I want to mention. People think that Las Vegas is just this desert and you're trapped there. Well, I want you to remember something. We do have Mount Charleston, okay? Mount Charleston has snow, and people go out there and they can ski and they can enjoy all these snow activities. I remember the first time I went to Mount Charleston, I was driving, and I think it was maybe 80 degrees outside, maybe 85 degrees outside where I live. And I'm driving along, and I noticed that I didn't need the air conditioning anymore. And I put my hand up against the window of the car, and all of a sudden it felt really cold. Well, I was getting closer and closer to Mount Charleston. And when I got there, wow, I thought I was in a totally different place. There was snow on the ground, there were kids throwing snowballs at each other, people had sleds and heavy jackets. I was just surprised that I was still in Las Vegas, if I was in Southwest Nevada, if you want to call it that. I was just shocked. I remember because I was not wearing clothing that was preparing me for the cold. And when I got out of the car, I was like, wow, what is going on here? And oh my gosh, I picked up snow and it was so fun. So you do have that. And there's also a hotel there where you can stay. So if you want to be close to that, there are great places to live that are not far from Mount Charleston. Mention that again, when you send us an email or a text message, let us know, hey, is there any chance I could live close to the mountain? Just like people who might want to live close to Red Rock National Park because they want to go hiking all the time. I know, because I like to do that. That place is awesome. And it's very close to Summerlin. So of course, if we're showing you Summerlin, we're definitely going to highlight that Red Rock is there because it's a place you can go. It's even kind of fun just to drive around there. I actually got the annual pass. It's a very low price for the annual pass. And so whenever I want to go over there, I just drive in, I show my pass, and I just get to go in. It's not expensive if you just want to go for the day. At the time I'm making this video, it's somewhere around $15 to just go in for the day, and you could drive your car and go hiking. But if you go out there, you might get the annual pass as well. And that's a good option. So these are all small things to think about, when you're coming out here. But the perks of being landlocked and what we have in Nevada and Las Vegas are just incredible. If you're thinking you really want to live by a huge lake, okay, that's a different situation. And that's when we will talk to you about moving to Lake Tahoe. And if you are thinking about moving to Lake Tahoe, don't worry, we've got your whole Nevada situation covered. So if you do want to relocate to Lake Tahoe or Reno, Nevada, still send us an email or a text message because we'll be happy to help you with that as well. It's a totally different setup than Las Vegas, and we'll talk about that probably in another video. But I put the concept of living in the desert and not being by the ocean pretty low on the list of concerns for most people. Unless you're a surfer or a boogie boarder, then it's going to be a different situation. All right, let's talk about number 4. And that's that you're in a small metropolis. That's what I like to call it. You're in one major city town. So when you live in Las Vegas, you spend most of your time in Las Vegas. You don't take a lot of day trips where you're driving somewhere to another city. Now, there are places you can drive where you might go to a hot spring or you go to the mountains, but you're not going to visit other cities. As a quick refresher, just remember, there are only 5 cities in Clark County, Nevada. We have Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, Henderson, Nevada, Boulder City, and Mesquite. Now, Mesquite, if you are thinking about moving to Mesquite, or if you come out to Las Vegas, you also maybe visit Mesquite. That's a little bit of a vacation town along the Arizona border. And that's one of the only places I could think of where you would go to visit another city, perhaps to spend the weekend. Now, there is Laughlin, Nevada. I'm not sure if that's actually officially a city yet, but it has its own zip code and such, I believe. And you might go there for the weekend as well. But it's not like living in, say, again, let's pick somewhere big, right? New York City, or living in Los Angeles, where you just keep driving to new big cities to see a lot of things that are going on in different places. You'll probably spend most of your time in Las Vegas or in Henderson. And when you leave, you could drive to the California border, which is really just a couple of casinos and stores and some outlet shopping and other things. But then you have to drive hours to get into California. If you want to go to Arizona on vacation, you have to drive a few hours. If you continue up Highway 15, you'll first hit St. George, Utah, and of course, Salt Lake City, which is a big city. But it's not like it's 20 minutes away, okay? You're going to spend, again, most of your time in Vegas and Henderson. If you want to visit Salt Lake City, it's hours away. But the great thing about Las Vegas that's so unique is that we basically have everything. If you want to see a concert, a lot of bands come through Las Vegas. I know because I'm always watching the concert list and I love live music, so it's an awesome place for live music. And we have everything that you could think of. I was talking to someone who moved to Idaho and they said, hey, we don't have the Container Store here, or we don't have IKEA. And for them, that was like a little bit of a surprise. It was kind of a wake up. Oh my gosh, we don't have those things. You know, we do have an IKEA in Las Vegas. You'll see the huge sign when you're driving by the freeway. It's a really cool place. And we have tons of restaurants and every major store I could think of. There's not like a service that I can think of off the top of my head that I can't get in Vegas. I was talking to somebody else who lived in the Midwest, and the person said they wanted to get, I think, a Mini Cooper. It's the cute car, the Mini Cooper. And they said, oh, there's no dealer for like hundreds of miles. And, that's something that, again, is a little bit of a wake-up. Vegas is this sprawling place that has all the stuff you need. You don't need to drive across state lines to pick up something, whether it's food or other kinds of shopping. So I think that's a really good part of it, but you are in one place. Fortunately, we have an international airport, so if you want to travel far away, maybe you want to go to Japan and get some sushi, or you want to go to Italy and have some pasta or authentic pizza, then no problem. We have that option for you. But it's a change if you're moving from, say, Southern or Northern California, for example. Now, for those of you who are watching from Central California, like if you're moving from Bakersfield to Las Vegas, well, that's different because you understand that feeling of having one major area. And I think a lot of people who come out here come from places where it's like that. And I don't think of it as a big con, but I did want to throw it out there if you haven't really soaked in the map of the Southern Nevada region yet. So again, we'll put that pretty low on the concerns list, but let's just throw it out there so we know about it. Now, let's jump into number 5. And This is a unique one that only comes up once in a while, but I do think it's important if you're in this industry. And number 5 is that we don't have a lot of tech jobs at this time. There aren't a ton of technology jobs out here. We do have some big tech companies, of course. We have Zappos, right, which is a huge online retailer. And we do have other companies that are always moving out here. But if you have to go to work, meaning go to an office and you're working for a tech company, there's not a ton of large technology companies out here at this time. There are startups, though. There is a Vegas tech scene. You can find more information about that when you go to co-working spaces or when you're around, what I like to call the tech hustlers or the young entrepreneurs. So there are people out here who are developing things and working in the technology sphere, but you don't have mega huge companies like you see in the Bay Area or in some other parts of the country. Now, that's not a big deal for a lot of people, but sometimes people ask me that. But I want to say that things have changed a lot, right? We have work from home now, which is huge. Some people have always been working from home, but now you have that flexibility with so many companies. So think about this. If you can get an awesome job that you like, and it's at a tech company, but you get to work at home wherever you want, well, you live in Nevada, and that is significant, right? Because in Nevada, we don't have state income tax. Obviously, there could be some factors with wherever your company is headquartered, and you want to check with your people about that. But living in a state with no income tax is pretty awesome. It's a reason that people move to Nevada. It might not be the primary reason for everybody, but if it's just a small thing for you, it's a treat. And if it's a big deal to you, well, then you probably know it's a big deal to you, and you know why it's a big deal. And it's something you probably really appreciate. So I'm going to put that kind of in a subcategory on the cons list of living in Las Vegas. It really depends on what type of job you have and what you're looking for. So let's jump into the next one. All right. It's time to jump into number 6, the weather. Okay, this is just one guy's opinion. It's this guy's opinion. We have 3 good seasons in Las Vegas. We've got winter, we've got fall, and we've got spring. So what does that leave you? Well, that leaves you the summer. And it's the desert, okay? It gets hot in the summer. And you've probably been hearing about temperatures exceeding 100 degrees multiple days in a row. In fact, I think there are some social media accounts that post the weather as if it's some sort of achievement. You might be hearing about temperatures of 115 degrees. Yeah, it happens. It's not fun for me, but what's interesting to me is some people tell me they love it. I think those people may have moved from cold places or places where it rains. Sure, if you're moving from Seattle to Las Vegas or you're moving from Portland, Oregon to Las Vegas, hey, this weather is going to be a treat for you. But if you want to go ride your bicycle, you want to go for a jog, you want to go for a walk, or you just want to take your dog outside for 20 minutes, you'll probably need to do it early in the morning or later in the evening. I cannot imagine riding my bicycle in 110 degree weather for an hour to go get lunch or just to take a tour. And that's a factor. It's the summer. And in the summer, it's hot out. But what are you really giving up? You're just giving up a few months of the year to have good weather most of the rest of the time. You do get to use your pool, and you don't hear people talk about heating their pools in the summer or anything like that, which is true. Your pool can get very warm naturally. That's actually pretty cool. You can also go in your pool at nighttime or in your jacuzzi if you have one, which is also pretty cool. If you recall in another video, I had mentioned that some of the hotels will let locals go to the pool parties and other events at no charge or at a very reduced cost. And that's actually really fun in the summer too. But the summer heat brings heat and a lot of sunlight. And that's why we have cactuses and we don't have so much, grass and greenery. But there are plants that thrive in the desert. So although we don't live in a forest, we do have plants that thrive in the desert. You'll notice it in some of the scenes I show you of different parks, or when I show you images of some of the places I like to just go walking or riding on a scooter or something like that. You'll see different trees that you might not have seen before. And I think that's really interesting. Not that I'm a horticulturalist or someone who's thrilled by studying trees, but it's interesting when you travel across the country and across the world to see all the different types of plants we have. All right, that's just a little side note that I was sharing with you. But here's the deal. The summers are hot. It's a big deal for some people. Others don't care about it. We have this magical thing. It's called air conditioning. And some houses might have 4 air conditioners. I'm serious. I've seen houses with 4 air conditioners. In fact, I think I might have seen one that had an additional air conditioner or some kind of unit. So you might have 1 air conditioner. You might have 2. If you have a 2-story house where you're coming from, you might be used to having 1 or 2 air conditioners. But if you have a big house, you might need more. But if you're worried about not having an air conditioner, I wouldn't make that a big concern, because here's the deal. I understand if you're coming from somewhere cold. If you're moving from the Pacific Northwest and you're gonna move to Las Vegas, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, it's hot, and where I come from, units don't have air conditioners, houses don't have them. Or if you're coming from the Midwest, where you're more concerned about the snow than you are concerned about, the heat. Same thing for the East Coast. I've heard people tell me they didn't have an air conditioner where they're from. Don't worry, most places in Las Vegas are desert ready. That means you have an air conditioner, right? And with all the cool technology today, you can program your air conditioner to do a lot of cool things, like work around your schedule, or know when you're gone, know when you're home, or you can set it up to meet your needs. So if you are concerned, hey, when you send us an email or you text me, say I want to make sure I get a place with an air conditioner, but I can't remember walking in somewhere and saying, hey, does this place have an air conditioner? What am I going to do in the summer? No, that's not really a big concern. So personally, on the cons list, for me, I put that as the top one, is the heat in the summer. But then, before I made this video and I was thinking about the heat and literally how hot outside it is and has been for the last week, I was thinking, you know what? I get to ride my bike all the time in the winter. I get to ride my scooter in the winter. And I think about friends who live on the East Coast, and they tell me, oh no, we have to put our stuff away. We don't go outside during the winter. It's not enjoyable. Oh, I think of the times I've been to Canada. There's a reason they call that place the Great White North. The snow just comes down like, I would think it was like a scene from Game of Thrones. I'd never seen so much snow. I once actually took a special someone there on vacation in February, and I'll just say that neither of us were really prepared for that. But here's the deal. You're getting 3 good seasons for 1 tough one. Now also, if you're a cold-blooded person, as your body temperature is generally cold, you'll feel great. Don't take the word cold-blooded in any other way. I mean your body temperature. People often tell me I'm warm-blooded because I always say I'm hot. But you might really enjoy this. I know people who tell me they don't really mind it if it's 95 degrees outside or 100. 120? That's a lot, but it's okay. It's not every day, right? And the thing to me that's surprising is you still see people outside walking, and I see people bicycling. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I should just keep this temperature thing on my own chart. I don't know. But I wanted to mention it because I think it's important. And we have to look at the pros and the cons, right? That's part of the deal when you're thinking of moving somewhere. So that's going to wrap up my cons list of living in Las Vegas. I actually sat down and really thought about it because I have moved to several different places in my life. I lived in big cities, I've lived in smaller places, and I've obviously vacationed. And I thought it was important to make a video to discuss things realistically, because not everything in life is a pro when you're moving somewhere. But it's a balance, okay? You've got your pros and you've got your cons. And in Las Vegas, I think that the pros are much more important and much more significant than the cons. You get a lot of great things when you move to Las Vegas or you move to Henderson. You get new communities like Summerlin, which are, beautiful. You get generally good weather. The traffic is pretty limited. You have a lot of options for entertainment. We've got the food scene, which is great. And we've got new businesses just popping up and opening, which is really fun. I think it's fun to be in a place where you have some growth and you have a little bit of activity and excitement and stimulation, so you know that things are progressing and the city's getting better. Obviously, you've got all the hotels and casinos and all the fun stuff you can do there, like the shows. So, we talked about some of the cons, but overall, those are really small. And almost no matter where you're coming from, I think that you're going to have a wonderful time living out here. And I'm only speaking from my own experience. So I wanted to share all those things with you. And I hope that helped you in this video. So remember, if you're thinking about moving out here to Las Vegas, or you're going to relocate to Henderson, or you want to see Summerlin, get in touch with me, because it's my passion. Someone once told me I should be a tour guide. And I'm thinking, well, I kind of like this real estate business, so I'll stick with that. So look, send me an email. You can text me. You can do it 24/7. You can call. If I don't answer, leave a message, and I'll be happy to help you. And we're going to make a plan for you, and we're going to help you find the place so that you can move to Las Vegas and get set up and just start living your life and have as much fun as I am and everyone I know. All right, everybody, until the next video, don't forget to click that little subscribe button and click that little bell. When you do it, it inspires me. And leave a comment below. I want to make more videos for you all about the cities. And when you leave a comment, or even if you just reach out to me, it gets me pumped and inspired to keep putting out new videos all about the Las Vegas Valley. All right, everybody, take care. I'll see you soon.